welcome, Frontrunner family. As you know, every Friday we do a Premier League preview with Leroy, all the way from the UK. Leroy, welcome.
Good to be here. Nice to see you, Superi.
Okay, moving on. Well, let's start with Ole. He's the only team that didn't win in Europe against young boys. Do you think if it wasn't for Ole's subs tactics, maybe United could have salvaged a draw or a win?
Look, we'll never know, but what it suggests is that I looked at a stat the other day, and when Man United have gone down to 10 men, they've lost 71% of their games, compared to all the other teams in and around the top six, who are around 40, 30, 25%. So when things go wrong, structurally, I just think Ole maybe doesn't get it right on a regular basis, and he certainly didn't get it right against young boys, as a result would suggest. So, and that's been my concern. You know, I've had loads of Man United fans having a go at me, as they always do, because I said that I don't fancy him to win the league. But there's reasons for it, and it's based on I look at Tuchel, I look at Pep, I look at Klopp, and I look at the structure of the team. Not only when it's going well, but when it's not going so well. And I think they've got fantastic structure. You know exactly how they're going to play week in, week out. I don't see that with Man United. I see some very, very good players, a very, very good squad. And it all looks a little bit off the cuff to me. Apart from when they do play, maybe a top side, and they play on the counter attack, they play deep, and Rashford plays wide. But I think there's got to be more to it. You know, and the Ronaldo's come in, and obviously a magnificent player, and joined a very good squad. But to win the Premier League, I think you need to have structure now. It's no point just being, you know, like the Real Madrid, where, you know, having the best players and then telling them to go out and play. And I just feel when I watch Man United, that's what they are. I might be wrong, but that's how I feel.
Considering how much resources have been put for Ole, and rumors of Antonio Conte being bandied about, do you think that puts pressure on him, or his job is still safe for now?
No, he's under severe pressure. Now, it's been 3 years now. He said that it was a 3-year. He'd been given 3 years to get things right, to change the squad around, a 3-year project. And you know, he's manager of Man United, and he knows that. Since day one, he's been under pressure. And so the best managers in the world were always going to be linked with it. So that's not something that he's not aware of. But he's under more pressure now that Ronaldo's come in, because, you know, as United fans have been telling me, they could win the Premier League this season. And if they fall short, where does that leave them? You know, he hasn't managed to get over the line in terms of trophies at any time in the last 2.5, 3 years. And, you know, you look at this squad and you feel that they must get something in that trophy cabinet this year, at least, to give him time. And with Antonio Conte being available, he was always going to get linked. He's tremendous at Chelsea, gone to Italy, done the same at Italy. And he's someone who spends a lot of money, but is also brings structure to a squad. Maybe that's what's lacking. I hope Ole's learned that over the last 3 seasons at Man United. I think he's done much better than I ever expected, and he has to be given a lot of credit for that. And I think he's handled himself really well. But can he become an elite manager with this group of players? It's got to happen this season, I feel, for Man United. Otherwise, he'll be under severe pressure. And to be honest, I do think it's a little bit unfair, because I think he might need maybe a year, maybe another year on top of this, you know, to get things exactly as he would want in place. But when Ronaldo comes through the door on a 2-year contract, you know, United fans will expect that United start winning things straight away. But they're up against some magnificent football teams in the Premier League. They're up against some magnificent football teams in the Champions League. You know, even though they lost to young boys, I feel they will still go through. I don't think that's a concern. But I think that performance just put a concern in the back of Man United fans' minds that can they do it week in, week out, and get the right results and get the right tactics, you know, especially in those club competitions.
Quickly, Jaden Sanchez, is he still adapting to the Premier League?
I think he's adapting to the Premier League, and I think Man United are adapting to him as well. He's someone who he's a magnificent footballer, and he gives them that that person who can go past people, he can drift, come inside, go outside, and I think he's a magnificent addition to the squad. But as I said, it's about finding balance. And what I'll give you an example that teams like Liverpool, when players come in, or at Man City, you know, it's not often that they go straight into the side and you expect them to hit the ground running. You know, they're given a pre-season and they're given time to settle with the players, and they go into a team that has a really very good structure in the way they play. And Pep, this is what I want from you at certain times. Now, this is when you can express yourself. I'm not sure that Jaden Sanchez is getting that. I think he's been told he's been played on the right since he's come in. He's been played on the left. You know, he's played in different positions. That wouldn't happen with Pep. It certainly wouldn't happen with Klopp. And I know it wouldn't happen with Tuchel. You know, players find their place. They're told this is what you're expected to do. And they go in and do it. And it gives them a really good starting point to go and then express themselves. So give him a little bit of time, because he's a magnificent player, still very, very young. And again, it's about finding that balance for Man United. And, you know, he played all of them, you know, in their last game against Newcastle, you know, all 5. I didn't think, you know, if you look to that performance up until the goal at halftime, and maybe, you know, Newcastle played very, very well. And to be honest, as a young keeper, made a couple of mistakes. I've seen he's been dropped tonight. And but Ronaldo took full advantage. And it's nothing against Ronaldo. He's terrific, fantastic. But it was a couple of goalkeeping mistakes which gave United that impetus. And you can't rely on that week in, week out.
West Ham versus United, how do you see the run going?
If Mikel Antonio was not suspended, I think West Ham would have a magnificent chance. I think it makes, without Antonio leading the line, I think it might make West Ham a little bit more negative, and that might play into Man United's hands. I hope that at the London Stadium, from West Ham's perspective, that they're not negative. They still try and get on the front foot. They've still got some fantastic players. Had a fantastic week off the back of their win against Dinamo Zagreb in Europe. Declan Rice was magnificent, and I just wonder how they'll cope without Antonio. Will they play a false 9? Will they push Souček maybe, you know, up behind the Fornals or Bowen? They've got options, and what they've also got is a lot of confidence. They're unbeaten as well, you know, and they're playing some good football. So this would be a tough game. By the way, West Ham would be a tough game for anybody, and you know, so yeah, and I feel that United, you know, they got Ronaldo, and you don't back it against Ronaldo at any time. But they've also got some very good players. Bruno's playing very well. Pogba's still playing well. Varane looks like he's settled in pretty well. So this is a test for United. And as I said, be a test for anybody. So I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going to go. I said earlier on the show, because I was forced to by Don. Don put me under pressure, to be fair. He does that all the time. I said 2-1 West Ham, but I wasn't sure. I wasn't backing myself, to be honest. But if all honesty, if West Ham get a point, I think they'll be pleased. So I'm going to go 1-1 for this one.
Yeah, I'm sure Moyes will want to get one over United as well. Arsenal, Burnley. Arsenal got a boost confidence-wise after beating Norwich. Against Burnley is a tough team to face. How do you see that?
It is a tough team. They've had a real boost with John Dyche signing a new 4-year contract. I saw it when he signed that contract, they're looking for the club to evolve. Well, Burnley, they need to evolve because they haven't really evolved under Shawdust. They still play 4-4-2. We know Tarkowski and me are going to play most every week. So we know what their midfield is going to be. We know it's going to be Woods and Barnes up front. So this gives Sean the chance to evolve the club in terms of quality and hopefully gets the backing and some money to push the club forward and brings the average age of the club down. But this is a dangerous game for Arsenal. It was interesting. It did make me giggle because Arteta said he had the best 10 days of his managerial career before that win against Norwich, and I suggested because they didn't have a game in that 10 days. That's why it was the best 10 days of his management. And I thought that was a little bit over the top, in all honesty. I've had a wonderful 10 days. It was brilliant. And then I know they had 25, 30 shots against Norwich, but they won 1-0, and they got a win, a much needed win. So I wouldn't have got too carried away saying that was the best thing, best 10 days and this and that. I think he should have played it as it was a relief, and we can take that forward and we can improve on that, not get too carried away. Because when you get too carried away, the last side you want to play is a team like Burnley. They've got absolutely nothing to lose, and they love upsetting the big boys with the way that they play. And it's a side. Norwich was ideal for Arsenal. Burnley are not ideal for Arsenal. They know they're going to be physical. They know they're not going to be too worried about being without possession of the ball, and they know they're going to be good at set pieces. So this is a tough game for Arsenal. If they can get a win, then I would suggest then he has had a good 7 days. Within that 7 days, having 2 wins and 6 points. So again, a massive game for Arsenal. If they do not get a performance against Burnley, then they'll be back to square one, exactly where they were before Norwich, and that can't happen for Arteta.
Yeah, I don't see Arsenal winning that one with Burnley away. Moving right along, Liverpool will face Crystal Palace.
Mm-hmm.
With Liverpool, is it time to rebuild now? You know,
Is it time to rebuild?
For club, like the squad, maybe.
I look at that, and before the start of the season, we were saying, yeah, maybe they need some fresh faces. But when I see them play, they look as fresh and as enthusiastic as they've ever done. Jota's come into the side and obviously played more regularly. With Firmino dropping out with the injury, it was a real shame about Harvey Elliott picking up that horrible injury. But every time I see Liverpool playing, I'm thinking, how am I going to replenish that? Wijnaldum goes out the door, but then you've got Thiago, you've got Harvey Elliott, you've got Keita. And how do I do that? How do I get better players than I've already got? And by the way, they're playing brilliantly well. Van Dijk is back in the side. Gomez came in and played in Europe to give him a break. Matip looks as good as he's ever done. Trent is still putting crosses in from the right wing like they're going out of fashion. Robertson seems to be getting fit. Alisson's one of the best goalkeepers in the world. How do you refresh that? And then you've got people like Jordan Henderson, James Milner, supplements like Oxlade-Chamberlain. Origi comes on and does well. It's not too bad. And the thing is, and I said it the other day, Jurgen Klopp is a manager who likes to work with a smaller squad than the others because he likes to keep that momentum going. So it's a difficult one. But they are playing very well at the moment. I was really pleased with Crystal Palace. I was really pleased for Edouard to get his 2 goals. It's a big jump from the Premiership, the Scottish Premiership, to the Premier League. So I wouldn't get too carried away, but he's got his goals that are giving him real confidence. But I think it might be a shock to the system for Palace this weekend, for Patrick Vieira. Magnificent win, really pleased for him, to get that first win against Tottenham as well. That must have been really pleasing for him. I'll be honest, as a young black manager, you always look at it from that perspective, that it's great for him to have that opportunity, great for him to people to say, he's not, he can be a manager, which he has been for a very long time. He's been in America, he's been in France. Obviously, he started with the Man City under 21s, I think. So really pleased for him, but I think this game might be a step too far. But they've got some good players. I like Conor Gallagher. I think he's been brilliant in midfield. I like Guhi at the back, Anderson at the back, 2 young centre halves, and obviously Edouard and Zaha looks like he's freshened up a bit. His last performance was excellent. So. But I just don't fancy Palace at all. I just feel that if they play a little more open, I suppose I would fancy him more if Roy Hodgson was still there and we knew that we were going to get a pragmatic approach against Liverpool. But it's not. And Patrick Vieira, I do not think will accept that. So I fancy Liverpool to win this game and win it quite comfortably, actually. I'm going to go 3-0 Liverpool.
True. He did say that they won't sit back Patrick Vieira. But quickly on Wilfried Zaha, do you think sometimes he gets a bit too emotional and he reacts?
I do. If I was a player, I'd wind him up every single time. and so because that's what we as players do. We love to see players get emotional and get upset, and and it can be a weakness. But then on the other side of that, he gets emotional, and I think it kind of inspires him to play better and to try harder. But I do think that he that's how he is. He shows his heart on his sleeve, plays his heart on his sleeve, and it can affect him in a negative way. And he always seems to have a little skirmish every single game with an opponent of some sort. And when referees see that on a regular basis, they'll start booking him regularly, which will get him into trouble. So it's a plus and a negative. You want your players to be emotional, you want them to be passionate, but you want them to be in control and just play it up to the line. And he does that on most occasions, but when he just goes beyond that, then there's a problem. And he has done that a couple of times. So but look, he's a magnificent player. I'd have him in my team every time. And I'd want an emotional Zaha because he could cause you problems when he's emotional. It's when he gets too emotional. And as an ex-pro, I'd try and get him too emotional and get his mind off the game and get him worrying about me a little bit more. So, that's the way. But I love him as a player. I think Palace are delighted that they still got him. It's good to see him playing with the form and taking responsibility. I was really pleased to see him step up and take the penalty, last week as well. Because all of a sudden you think, well, he is a senior player now. A lot of the older players have gone. Excuse me, and he needs to take responsibility.
True. Man City. Okay.
Getting a drink.
All right. A drink it is. Man City, Southampton. I saw Pep have a go at Mahrez in the Champions League. What did that tell you about Pep?
Yeah, so he has to go at him all the time. It's driven.
It seemed very intense.
Absolutely driven. You thought it's interesting. Pep's, what's he been there? 4 years now? Is it 4 years? And you if you said that Pep would still be here and be as driven, I'd say most probably not. He would have moved on. But at least he's desperate for success at that football club, and that's the reason why he doesn't stay at clubs too long. I think he burns out. But the passion's there, the desire there, the drive's there. He said something in the media about, they wanted to make sure the fans, he invited the fans to come to the game because I think he was disappointed that the crowd was only like 70 or 80% full. And I think that's riled a few Man City fans because, it's not cheap. It's expensive to go and watch Champions League football. But he's looking at every aspect of Man City Football Club to push them on to success. And he said, because we'll be tired and Southampton are a dangerous team. And they are. They are a dangerous team, and if you give them an opportunity, Southampton could take it. But I don't think so on this occasion. I think that the problem is, it's not attacking wise. Obviously, they scored the 6 goals, but Nathan Ake seems to be, and I've always rated Nathan Ake. I'm not sure if it's because he's not up to speed and hasn't had enough game time, but every time a goal succeeded, his fingerprints seem to be somewhere on it, in around in terms of being guilty of being someone who's responsible for conceding that goal. So I'm sure he'll hope that someone like Laporte or Stones is fit this week, and I'm not sure if either of them are, because Diaz is just magnificent. But that weakness, if I was Southampton and Nathan Ake was playing, I would target him, because that is a weakness at the moment, and I would play on him if I was Armstrong, or I'd just go and pull onto him and see if he could handle the pressure.
We lost you for a second there.
No, if I was Southampton and Nathan Ake was playing at the moment, that's who I would play on. But I still think that Man City will have too much for Southampton, and it'll be 3 or 4, maybe 3 or 4, and they might concede one. So I'll go 3-1 Man City.
Okay, cool. Tottenham, Chelsea, back to reality for Tottenham with that loss, even though there was a red card for Tanganga. But Chelsea will probably finish them off. I'm thinking Tottenham also have some serious injuries on their side. I think Son is out and Steven Bergwijn is also out.
Yeah, absolutely, but they didn't have any serious injuries before they played Crystal Palace, and they were shocking. And it was all down to their attitude and their approach to the game, which was really poor. 3 holding midfield players. Harry Kane doesn't look the same. Certainly doesn't look the same without Son in the side. And I just think they won't believe they can get a result if Son isn't playing. I honestly don't believe that. They will feel that. It's a difficult time to be playing Chelsea because everybody knows that Lukaku is fine. And even though they didn't play very well against Aston Villa, but Tuchel rectified that at half-time, took off Sal and put on Jorginho, and it rectified the problem straight away. And then they've gone to Europe, got a great result. And Lukaku's scoring, and you can't see beyond Chelsea winning this game. But for their pride, Tottenham have got some good players, and if they can get a couple back, get through that first 20 minutes, and intact, then you never know when you've got people like Kane, and if Son's a fit and Dele Alli, they might rise to the occasion. And being underdogs won't be something that sits with them. They would see all the media saying that they got no chance, no players available, they were rubbish against Palace, and as professionals that would have hurt. And so You know, I do expect Chelsea to win, but it's a local derby. I don't expect it to be easy, but I do expect Chelsea to win because they will control the game. I think there's no doubt about that. They will control the game in possession, and Tottenham will again try and play with the lesser amount of possession that they've had in their first 3 wins of the season. But I don't think Chelsea will make the mistakes that those other sides have made. So I think I'm going to go Chelsea to win 2-0.
Same here. I think Chelsea will score more. They'll obliterate them. Quickly, prediction time. Wolves, Brentford.
Wolves got their first win last week. Brentford is going through a sticky patch. Wolves 2, Brentford 1.
Norwich, Watford.
This is a tough one. I think it should be a draw, 1-1.
Aston Villa, Everton.
Score. It's really weird watching Aston Villa because they played well at times, but then they were so shocking at the back. It's really bad at the back. Everton at home, fantastic. This is away from home. This is a tough one to call. I think I'm going to sit on the fence with this one, but I think there'll be goals. So I'm going to go 2-2.
Brighton and Hove Albion, Leicester City.
Again, a tough one. Leicester been in Europe. Brighton have had a very good late win against Brentford last week. Obviously, Leicester lost to Liverpool, but I just fancy Leicester will get back on track. You know, they rested a few players in midweek as well. I'm going to go Leicester to win this one, 2-1.
Okay. Last but not least, some serious player contracts will be coming to an end at the end of the season. Players like Rudiger, Salah, Pogba. Now I want to talk about agents. How easily or how hard, how much influence do they have on these players, on them not renewing, or planning to move along to the next team?
Look, it's difficult to talk about agents. I don't know what their relationships are with the players, how close they really are to the players. But at the end of the day, it's down to the player. You know, it's down to the player. You know, and if they want to stay, it's down to them. But as an agent, if you're looking at it from a monetary point of view, you'll be saying to the player, don't sign anything. Don't sign anything. Wait till January at least, because that puts you in a fantastic position where you can go off and talk to other people, and it puts the club that you're at under severe pressure. But the relationship that people like Salah has with Liverpool fans is, you know, I'm not sure that he'd want to do that because he has such a great relationship with the Liverpool fans and with Jurgen Klopp. I would suggest that his relationship with Jurgen Klopp might be better than that with his agent. But it's massive for these players. Rudiger, you know, we saw under Frank Lampard, he wasn't part of the squad even, but Tuchel's brought him in and he looks like back to his old self and he looks like he's enjoying his football. All these things play a big part. They are, look, in terms of finances, it puts them in a very strong position, but they need to put into the equation, where could they go where they would be revered and they will enjoy their football and have the success that they've had. That's got to be part of the equation. And I was talking about Salah going like last season when Barcelona and Real Madrid were at the top of their game, and then we don't know about their financial problems. But Real Madrid and Barcelona aren't those teams now. You know, they're losing players hand over fist. They can't pay their players. So where would Mo Salah want to go? It's better than Liverpool. You know, so, you know, people would say PSG, but when they got Messi, they got Neymar, they got Mbappe, why would he want to go there? What do they do? Sit on the bench? I don't think so. There's not many clubs you can go to. Rudiger, Chelsea have won the Champions League. You know, where is he going to go that's better than Chelsea at this moment in time in terms of success? They can pay him what he wants. They can pay him just as much as any other club. So it's not such a foregone conclusion that these players will be moving on and that their players have a strong hold on their next move. It's their decision, and the way that they play and their attitude to the game suggests to me that they will have the final say on what they do as individuals, because that's the way they play. And I think they'll take advice, but I don't think they'll be influenced that strongly in terms of agents saying, I want you to move on, because that's not how it works.
We'll leave it there. Thank you, Leroy.
Okay, no problem.
Good night.